in spite of the hot climate, there is a simultaneous cool climate also here, which only people with a little more sensitiveness can feel. And all the people who have come to Pondicherry from your school, including Anjali ji, if you ask them, they will see that in Pondicherry, there is one place when you enter, you feel so cool, so nice, so relaxed. And that, because of that, you don't feel that the heat of Pondicherry is a problem anymore. And that is the ashram area, Sri Aurobindo Ashram. And there are two cool people who have created that atmosphere, Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And the moment we step inside this area, the ashram area, we can practically forget about everything else. And once we are in this area, something beautiful, something magical always happens if we are sensitive and open to it. And this is the beauty of this place, which I wish that every one of you at some point of time in your life will get an opportunity. So if you are now, if your parents or the school can facilitate it, well, we will try for it. But at least when you grow up, when you start earning money, make it a point once to visit Pondicherry, visit Sri Aurobindo Ashram with or without your friends, with or without your family. But when you come to Pondicherry, what will happen? Will your life become very different? Definitely. But your life, will it become very pleasant and comfortable and joyous? Well, I will have to tell you that no, when you go back from Pondicherry, you will become very, very restless. How? Because in Pondicherry, when you come to this particular place, you are going to get questions which you will not get anywhere else. Not answers, by the way. It's not that in Pondicherry, all the answers are available and that somebody is here ready with all the answers. No, this is a place for questions. What type of questions? The question that really matters to us. The question which, if we do not find the answer, we will not feel comfortable going to sleep even. This is a question which will make most of us very restless. But if we can have the question, the right question, we are already halfway on the path of finding answers. And when I came here a long time back, almost 20 years back, most of you are only perhaps half of that age. So when I came here 20 years back, I also got a question. When somebody came and told me that, well, we are all living in our country is India, it's a very great country, and we all are Indians. And suddenly a question came, really? Hold on. You say we are all Indians, but when can I say that I am an Indian? How do you say that I am an Indian? Well, he said, Arey, what are you talking about? You are born in India, you are born to Indian parents, and therefore you are an Indian. And somehow that answer was not satisfactory to me. I thought there must be more to this question. It is not just we are born in India, not just because we are born to Indian parents, I can get up and say that I'm an Indian. I felt that there has to be much more, not just a legal technicality. And this is the question which I will be sharing with you too. If I have to simply ask you, are you all Indians? What would you say? Now, when we go along this interaction, a couple of things. On the one hand, if you have any questions, we have a questions corner, the chat corner where you can type out your questions. But if I ask you a question which simply has to be answered yes or no, then for yes, you can always give a thumbs up. So everybody, you don't have to unmute, because then I will be having 100 voices speaking into my ears, half of them yes, half of them no. So when you want to say yes, give a thumbs up. So take your thumb right in front of your face so that it is visible on the camera, and then you will have to say thumbs up. Can I have one thumbs up from everybody? Excellent. So if I ask you a question, And if you want to say yes, you say thumbs up. And if you want to say no, then thumbs down. Can I have a thumbs down? Yes, excellent. So when you really want to agree with something, you are happy with something, there is a silent way in which you can show appreciation. And this is how we do. With both hands, we say this means it's a clapping without sound. All right? So when you say, yes, I agree so much with you, and then I really love, then you say this. This means clapping. We are appreciating something. So thumbs up, thumbs down, and I like it, I like it, I like it. Now this is the 3 signs. Now we come back to the question, are you an Indian? Now this is a big question. Now I'm going to give you 10 seconds, and then I'm going to tell you answer, and then you are going to give me a thumbs up or you are going to give me a thumbs down. All right? Simple question, and yet not so simple question. Are you an Indian? Not just technically, because there is something more which actually makes you a true Indian. So here is the question. Are you an Indian? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Show the sign. Thumbs up or thumbs down? I see Sarthak thumbs down and Rupshika thumbs up. Prabhavati. Interesting, because I thought all of you and all of us are Indians, and I find some people going thumbs down. Why is that so? Well, we will ask one person, Sarthak, and we will ask him, so why do you say that you cannot say I am an Indian? Because there is something more to it. So only Sarthak, I'm going to unmute. Or if Suresh can, yes, I have unmuted Sarthak. Sarthak, why do you feel that I'm not now a true Indian? The true. Can you say something?
Sir, I think technically we all are Indians, but if we go into the spiritual matter, then we should see that first we all are the creations of God. That's why I think that we all are not actually true Indians. First, we all are the creations of God.
Okay. If first we are all creations of God, second, can we say that we are Indians too? Or do they go against? If I am creation of God, I cannot be an Indian, right?
Yes, sir.
And if I am an Indian, I cannot be creation of God, right? Something is little different. Can I be both at the same time?
Yes, sir. Sir, I can be both.
How? Which is there a sequence? First, I have to be this one, then only I can be truly this one. So I can be part of God's creation. I can be part of India too. Which one should come first?
Sir, I think the part of God's creation should come first, because
Why?
Sir, because it doesn't matter that the life, the heart is given by the God, not by the place where we are born. That's why I think that we should first be the part of creation of God.
Very nice. So God is the bigger picture. First of all, he has to give life in order to be alive. Then only a question of whether I am an Indian or American or a Russian comes in. That's what Sarthak says. And there is a lot of truth in it. But first of all, I asked the question, are you Indian? So the word Indian, where does it come from? If I ask you, are you a human being? What would you say? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I hope all thumbs are up, because we don't have monkeys and probably crows and other things. Everybody is a human being. So that's a double thumbs up. Why? Because we know that human being means this one. But the word India, what does it mean? Who gave this name India? Have we all accepted the word human beings given to us? We are all human beings because we know what a human beings. But about that word, when we say India, who gave this word to us? Did we accept it ourselves? For example, Sarthak has a name, and that is Sarthak. His parents have given it, and he has accepted it. Isn't it? Now, if Sarthak wants to change his name when he grows up, when he assumes full control of himself, he can change and give himself a name. And the name accepted by Sarthak is the name that all of us should call him, isn't it? Now the question is, who gave our country the name India? It's an interesting question. All of you live in a home, right? So let us say our home is just like all of us live in our country. All of you live in your home. Does anybody have a name for their home? Because in Kerala, all our houses, our homes carry a name. My home's name in Kerala was Srinivas. So if somebody asks me, hey, where do you live? Then in my city, I will say, oh, I live in the house Srinivas. Isn't it? I don't know whether all of your houses have names, but this is a name which is chosen by my family. It's not somebody from outside said, hey, your house name has to be Srinivas and all of you must follow and accept it. It is like somebody coming and telling me that, you know, I want to call you by some other name like Balaram. And this is how I'm going to say, no, this is my name. I have accepted it. And this is what I would like to be called in the same way. This is a country that all of us live. And we have to ask, who gave this name? Did we give it to ourselves? Or did somebody else force it on us? Now, this is the first question. Only then can we say that, just as I say, I live in the house Srinivas, we can say, I live in the house, the bigger house called India. Yes, so who gave this name to India? There's a small story, history behind it, which I'm going to share. And then we will have to see whether we have a name which truly belongs to ourselves, or this is a name which is given by somebody else. Now, because we are talking about our country has been there for thousands of years. And this country existed for as long as 10,000 years at least, or even more. And people have been living in this country continuously. And therefore, we have to go back a little in time to ask, was India the name we always had? Let us go back 2,700 years. And when we go back 2,700 years, all the people who are living in this country were not calling this country as India. That's a surprising thing. Then what was our country called? Well, it was called by this name, Bharatavarsha. I'm going to type it here so that everybody gets it. This country was called by all the people in it as Bharatavarsha. Why is it? Because this country was being managed by a king called Bharata, and this country already has a beautiful shape geometrically so that it became a country by itself. What is this beautiful shape? Well, we are a country with a shape in such a way that three sides we are surrounded by ocean, and another side we have, what is the mountain which is in the north of our country? The big mountain, Himalayas. So on the one side Himalayas, and three other sides we are surrounded by ocean. Then right next to the Himalayas, there was a little bit of gap through which people from outside can come in and go out. Now that became a kind of a door to our country. All your houses have a door through which one can enter and one can go outside, isn't it? In the same way, our country also had a door because three sides ocean, one side there is a mountain, and there is another side which through land one can go out and come into India. Now, this was the situation when what in those times called Bharata Varsha, because it was ruled by Bharata, a few people from Persia. Have you heard of the country Persia? Well, it is there in Punjab and beyond Punjab, a little more on the Indian map. If you see, there is a country called Persia from where a lot of people started coming to this place called Bharatavarsha. And in this Bharatavarsha, when they entered into this country, they were asking people, they were observing people, what is this these people are doing so that they can call these people by one name. But what did they find? Something amazing. What was it? When they entered into this country, every 50 kilometers they traveled, people were speaking different languages. In the country from which they came, in the entire country, there was only one language that was spoken. There was one type of culture, the way you wear your pant and shirt and in a particular way. In those days, the country from where they came, they were all wearing one type of dress, one type of culture, one type of food they were eating. They were all doing the similar things so that they can say that this is how we are, this is who we are. But the moment when they enter into Bharatavarsha, they had a surprise because every 50 to 100 kilometers, people were speaking different language. If they came far enough, somebody was speaking in Gujarati. Came further down, somebody was speaking in Kannada. Little more, somebody was speaking in Tamil. There was not one language so that they can identify that these people, all of them speak one language, so they were not able to categorize. What about food? Well, when they came to Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, I don't know what you people usually have breakfast. Is it chapati or paratha? Okay, is it chapati? Give me a thumbs up. Is it paratha? All right, interesting. So you may be having chapati and paratha or breakfast, but when you come to Maharashtra, well, these people in the Maharashtra are eating what is called poha. And then when you come further down, Rupshika knows where it is. When you still come down to South India, well, these people are eating idli and dosa. See, everywhere we are not eating the same type of food. We are not eating same type of language. Even the dresses were very different. If you come to South India, do you know how the South Indians ladies wear sari? They usually put their pallu on one side. Now, if we go to Gujarat, they will put the sari on the other side. Not on this side, but on the other side. Now, even in the dresses, we were so very different, so much so that these people got totally confused. And they were even wondering, how can this be one country with a name? It's very difficult. So they were not able to give any name to us. They knew only one thing. If they want to enter into India, they will have to cross the river Sindhu. The river Sindhu. Therefore, they can only say that there is a very strange country, both Ajib nation, which is on the other side of Sindhu. But what to do? The Persians were having difficulty in saying Sindhu, and it was more, according to their language, easier to say Hindu. So they said that there is a group of people who are living beyond the river Hindu, and therefore we can call them as Hindu. But nobody thought of asking us who live in our country, what do you call yourself? Because they had a kind of a superiority. They are coming here and they wanted to give a name, so they started calling us as Hindu. Now, 300 years after these people came, in 2400 years back, that was the time another king with lots of army wanted to conquer India, because lot of people told him that this is a beautiful, very rich country. If you come here, you loot their money, you will become very, very rich. So he came, and when he came, he got to know the name Hindu. But Ha was difficult for him to pronounce, so he simply called it as Indu. Now in Greek, almost every name ends with us, Augustus, and this and that. So he wanted to call it as not as Indu, but Indus. So then our country became Indus, and later when people came, Indus was again converted into India, because us was a little not okay for them. So when the Mohammedans came and invaded India, they converted Indus into India. And that is how we got the name. But here, we already had a name, and that name was Bharatavarsha. Nobody asked the name, and nobody noted this name, and therefore our country was known by everyone as, even in the recent times after English have come, everywhere it is known as India. What is the meaning of the word India? Well, it came from several, and it is not a name given by us. It is like somebody coming into your home and giving a new name to it, and then saying that all of you will have to call your house by that name. So the first thing we have to recover is, in fact, our original name, Bharatavarsha. And if our country is Bharatavarsha, who are the people who live in the Bharatavarsha? Well, we are Bharatiya. We are the people who live in Bharatavarsha. We are Bharatiya. Now, this is the most challenging thing. How do we say that all of us belong to one country, which is Bharatavarsha? Because we speak different language, we eat different food, we wear our clothes differently, and yet there was something which was common to all the people who are living in Bharatavarsha. What was that? Because in this country, there was a different approach to life. In everywhere else, people were interested in exploring things and understanding things. But in this country, people were more interested in exploring something which nobody else has explored. And that is exploring themselves, their capacities, and how best they can be. Everywhere else, people were exploring the rivers and the mountains and the different places. They were researching on a lot of things. But in India, after a little bit of research, in the Bharatiya people were asking the question, who am I? Who is the person who is doing the research? Because finally, my important question is, if I can learn to live in a happy way, then I can actually live very nicely with everybody else. So the question became one thing: can I be happy? How can I be happy? And if I have to know that, I have to explore. Where is happiness available? Well, happiness is available in different places. If you get a pizza, well, you are happy. If you see a movie, then if you like it, you feel happy. But there is something beautiful. These people of Bharat found out that there is happiness which is hidden inside our heart too. Once we discover it, then all the time we can be happy. Now, here is the thing. If you feel happy when you get a pizza, well, you can't always have the pizza. Why? Look at the situation now. We are in lockdown situation and we can't have everything that we want. Anything that we get, well, you may be saying, watching movies makes me happy. Going to a theater, spending time with my friends makes me happy. Well, now we can't do that. And interestingly, if these are not available, how am I going to be happy? Can I still be happy if pizza is not available, if I can't watch a movie, and if I can't perhaps even play the games that I want to? How many games we used to play in the school? Football and volleyball, and what a nice life that was, isn't it? Yes. And it was such a fun, and especially when the class gets over, when we get into the sports field, such a beautiful thing. We were so happy. But now, can we be happy when these are not available? Well, we have something called a family now. Well, if our family people are nice with us, and then we can be covering a different type of happiness now. Suppose even in the family, we can't be with them 24 hours. At some point, your family is going to say, Arecho, don't disturb me. I have to cook. Don't disturb me. I have to do. So even with the family, we can't be 24 hours. And can we still be happy? This was the question taken up by the people of Bharatiya. And so what does it mean? They started exploring that can we be happy whatever is the outside situation. Even if somebody comes and then abuses me, shouts at me, can I still be happy? Very difficult, isn't it? If somebody comes and then shouts at you in anger, it's not easy even at that time be still happy, calm, and then quiet, and then happy on the inside, because we have not yet found that happiness which we can keep all the time in our heart. So what happened? This is a country where they wanted to discover the source of happiness. Who gives us happiness? Where does happiness come? Because I want to be happy all the time. If whether I am doing sports, whether I am doing studies, whether I am being with my family, I want to be happy all the time. And they were all searching for happiness. And very soon they came to know that if we get happiness by having something, that can always be taken away. But if we discover happiness inside us, nobody can reach out inside you and then take away the happiness, isn't it? Suppose you have lots of money in your pocket. When lots of money means we can get a lot of things. We can get pizza, we can hang out with friends, we can eat nice food. A lot of things can be done, which gives us happiness. But anytime somebody who is stronger than us can come and take the money away from us. And if we have money, money can be taken from us. If we have a school and friends, they also can be taken away from us. That's what is happening in the lockdown situation. And if sometimes even the people with whom we are happy, they are also not going to be with us 24 hours. But if we can find happiness within us, nobody can take it away, as they can take away the money, as they can take away the school and all the other things that we do. If we can discover happiness on the inside, nobody can take it away from us. And this was the search which was there with all the people of this country. So if we have to call ourselves as Bharatiya, then we also have to have the search for the source of happiness. Who gives us happiness? And then who is capable of giving this happiness so that it always remains with us? Well, they discovered that deep within the heart of every one of us, there is something. They just named it as, it's something which, well, if you want to call it as God, you can call it as God. So that God is sitting inside our heart, and He is the one who is the source of happiness. And if we can discover that source of happiness, God, then we can remain happy whatever happens on the outside. We get paratha or chapati or idli or dosa, we can still be happy. We get to play football, hockey, cricket, or something at home, probably chess, carom board, still we can be happy. If we want to study, exam is coming, still we can be happy. So if we can discover that God inside, now the question comes, who is this God? Do you think somebody is sitting inside? And that is a scary idea, because I know who I am. And if somebody is sitting inside called God, then I have to know what this guy is doing inside me. And this was the quest, this was the search with all the Bharatiya people were having. And therefore, this people of this country, they were called seekers. People who are after discovering what makes us all the time happy. We are seekers of happiness. And then a few people even found that source of happiness, and they started telling other people, hey, every one of us, if we can find that source of happiness in our heart, everybody can be happy. Now, that is the most beautiful thing that we discovered. If everyone can be happy, and if, how do we do that? By discovering the source within us. If you want to call it God, you can call it. Well, if you want to call it by any other name, please go ahead and then call it by that name, because in Bharatavarsha, we can call this that is within in our heart by any name that we want. So some, if you want to call it as Allah or Jesus Christ or Shiva or Krishna or whatever we want to call it, well, there is something deep within us, and some people will call it as the soul who is sitting inside. Well, when I was visiting Mumbai, I was talking with a group of children, not even your age. They were children of 3rd, 4th standard. So I was asking them, so how do you, are you children happy? They all said, yes, we're happy. So I asked them, well, if you are happy, where do you get from your happiness from? They all said, from here. They touched their chest and they said, we are getting our happiness from here. So I asked them, well, who is there giving you happiness? They simply said, we call them as, one child said that I call him as Momo. He said, whenever I do certain things, there is a Momo in my heart and he gives me a lot of happiness. I said, fine. And one thing I learned from these children is there's no point in giving one name to that which is sitting inside our heart. Whatever is the name, I know one thing, it is going to give me all the time happiness, a happiness which cannot be taken by anybody else. And if I get in touch with, if I can converse with it, if I can be its friend, then the entire life becomes so very different, because whatever I do, there will be a constant happiness associated with it. Now, this here we will make a pause. Right now, we can call it by any name. If you want to call it as God in your heart, if you want to call it in Pondicherry, in Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Mother calls it as simply the divine in your heart. So some people will say, come and ask me, okay, by divine, do you mean Krishna? Do you mean Rama? Do you mean Allah? Do you mean Jesus Christ? She will simply say, well, this is what I'm going to tell you. When I say divine, and this is what she has said, it is the perfection that you want to realize in this life. That is what I give the name. So, what we call here as the God in our heart not only gives happiness, it helps us to become perfect in whatever we do. That is the second thing. Now we are getting 2 points. If I have to call me as Bharatiya, well, what are the qualifications? First, I should be seeking out the source of happiness, the God inside. And second one, what do I mean? Is it somebody who is sitting inside that I have to discover? Well, it is not a person. but it is a quest for perfection. It is the perfection that I will be, that is what I will have to seek. So the two qualifications which makes us Bharatiya is searching for the source of happiness and then wanting to express this happiness by becoming as perfect as we can be. Now the question comes, when we say perfect, does it mean the same for everybody? Like Sarthak's perfection is the same as Sparsha's perfection, Rupshika's perfection, and Adya's perfection, and Sami's perfection. Because then, if all of you get in touch with the God within, and then if you become over time perfect, all of you will be looking and then doing the same thing because you have the same kind of perfection, isn't it? Then the world will be such a boring place. Whatever Sarthak can do, Rupshika can do. Whatever Rupshika can do, the same thing in the same way Yashasvi can do. Such a boring world. So when we say perfection, it is a perfection which is meant for each one of us, and they are not the same. Why? Then the world will be a very interesting place. For example, if Sarthak achieves perfection, let us say in singing, and suppose Sparsh Kaushik achieves perfection in, let us say, playing tabla, and let us say Rupshika achieves perfection in playing perhaps drums, and then Sarthak and Sparsh and Rupshika come together, and what happens? Well, you can have a musical performance where each one of you who are perfect in different things, when you come together, it's maza hai na, thoda alag hai. It's so different, and this is the most beautiful thing. Are we meant to be the same type of perfect people? No. Each one's perfection is different because each one's capacity and talents is going to be different. So if Sarthak is good at singing, Rupshika may be in drums, and Sparsh may be in playing an instrument, and perhaps if there is another Yamika, maybe she is good with electronic things, so that when you people want to sing, she will come and she will set up the place, she will give you the mic, she will give you the speaker, so that you can have a beautiful musical, I don't know, want to call it as party. It's an expression of joy. Now, that brings us to another question. What we call as perfection is an expression of the happiness within. Expression of a happiness within, completely without any distortion. Suppose, let us say Sarthak starts singing and he has not achieved perfection in singing. And then if he starts singing, how will it sound like? Well, all of us will feel like running away from Sarthak because, Arey, what are you singing? You have not become perfect in singing. Don't sing now, don't sing now. And then it makes everybody unhappy. It is not an expression of happiness, and it is something which he will have to perfect over time. What is perfection? It is an expression of happiness. It's a complete expression of happiness. So when Sarthak has trained himself, achieved mastery in singing, then you can say Sarthak has achieved perfection in singing. Now, here is another clue. When do we say that we are perfect? We say we are perfect when we achieve mastery in something. In that, we are perfect. If Sarthak, when he masters singing, and when Rupashika masters, let us say, drums, and when Sparsh masters another instrument, then you can say that they are perfect in these of each of the things. So here is the clue. The happiness inside, if it is expressed completely, then it is called perfection. And why do we call it as perfection? Because then we can say that we have mastered that particular area or that particular capacity. And therefore, in order to be Bharatiya, what do we have to achieve? We have to achieve mastery of ourselves. Each one's mastery will be different from each one of you. Why? Because each one's perfection is different. Now, what a simple answer. When can we say that we are Indian? When we are seeking for this perfection. Is it clear? Is it okay so far? So what is the true name of our country? Well, Bharatavarsha. It is because that beautiful king who ruled a long time back, who held our country together, he was called Bharata. And this place where he held it together came to be called Bharatavarsha, but that is not the real reason. What made this country single? The same thing is everybody in this country were seeking for happiness. And what is this happiness? When do we get happiness? When we become perfect, when we achieve mastery of ourselves. And this, when we do that, we can call that we are Bharatiya. I'm going to share with you what happened to these people who called themselves as Bharatiya by sharing with you some beautiful stories. Because we have to know the people who called themselves as Bharatiya, did they achieve perfection in anything? They must be. But our school and through history, we are supposed to know the stories of perfection achieved by these people. So when we say perfection over ourselves, now it's interesting thing. In the first session, which Anjali ji was taking, do you remember that if we have to achieve perfection, a total perfection, then we have to achieve perfection of at least 3 parts of ourselves, which all of us have. First thing, I don't really have to tell you, you yourself can do. We all have a body, right? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up. Anybody here who is without a body? Like, who is without a body, like floating like a booth or something like that? Everybody has a body. Now, we are meant to achieve perfection of the body. And Anjali ji was saying, well, we will have to take care of the body by doing regular exercise, eating proper food, doing yogasanas, doing pranayama. These are the ways in which we make our body perfect. Now we want to know, in India, have people achieved this type of a perfection over their body? That is question number 1. What was the second part in us which Anjali ji was speaking about? Who can say? Even if we can, yes. Well, somebody with the name Galaxy is saying it is vital. What do you mean by vital? Lots of emotions and feelings. Yes, Fritza Khan has said correctly, the second part in us is our emotions. We can also say our heart space. Where do we find all the emotions? Can you say that, oh, today I felt so happy. Where did you feel happy? Well, in the tip of my leg, I was feeling so happy today. Has anybody felt like that? Whenever you feel happy, where do you feel happiness? Well, I was feeling happiness in my fingertip. My fingertip was feeling so happy. No. What we feel happiness, where do you feel happiness? Somewhere in the heart. Really, and when the happiness becomes too much, or even the other emotion, when the sadness becomes too much, where do you feel? Well, I was so sad today. Where? Well, in my little finger. So how do you make this little finger happy? No. We feel happiness or sadness in our heart. And that heart space is called the vital or the emotional space. Body is everywhere. Well, we have to do a lot of things to make the body happy and perfect. Emotions, there's a lot of things which Anjali ji has suggested. And then there is a third part. What is the third part? We have body, we have heart, and already Fritza Khan is so active that even before I ask, she's coming out with the answer. We have a mind too. And what happens in the mind? Lot of chintan, lot of chinta. Where does it happen? I got a brilliant idea, a brilliant thought. Where did you get it? Well, in my right hand. Do you get ideas in your right hand? Where do you get your ideas? Where does your thinking happen? Well, yesterday, in my backside where I am sitting, I got a super duper idea and then I wanted to discuss this idea. No, you're not getting the idea somewhere where you sit. You get an idea here, somewhere in your head. When you're doing mathematics, like, complex calculations and thinking and then logic and then applying the formulas, you notice automatically your forehead will come together because you are trying to figure out, you are trying to think, you want to come out with idea. Automatically you will find that your forehead is here focused and somewhere inside the head, the thinking is happening. So our mind usually happens, somebody has said brain, where is the brain? Somewhere in this, inside the head. And you can call it even as head space. So we have a body and we have to make it perfect. When we achieve mastery, then happiness is natural. We have a vital emotions. When we achieve mastery, then we just have to express only happiness. We say no to sadness. We say no to irritation. We say no to anger. How do we say no to anger? A lot of people irritate us, right? So if they irritate us, my happiness goes away. How do I retain my happiness even when somebody is trying to irritate me? Well, you are going to know the secret in one of the sessions on how do we handle the anger and remain happy. But this belongs to the heart, belongs to the vital. And then the things that belong to the mind, to the headspace, we have to achieve perfection. Has India, Bharat, has achieved perfection? Can you share some of the stories of it? Well, for the next probably 40 minutes or half an hour, I wanted to share a few beautiful stories which I have come across. I did not know that such perfection was possible, for example, in the body. I did not know that people can be so much master of their emotions that they can be happy all the time. I did not know that people can be so dynamic and creative with their thoughts that even before a problem comes, the mind says, I have 10 solutions for it. I did not know that such a concentration of the mind was possible until I came across these beautiful stories. So the first story which I am going to, because that gives us an idea where the Bharatiyas were successful in achieving perfection in their body, perfection in their emotions, and perfection in their thoughts. And how did they achieve it? Probably with the help of something, a fourth one, somebody who is deep there inside our heart. And Anjali ji has already said, given it the name soul, or give it whatever name you want. With that help, because that is the source of happiness, that is the source of perfection, and that is the source of mastery. And with that help, so the first story I'm going to share with you is of a singer, somebody who used to sing beautifully. And when I heard one of the songs composed by him, it felt so good, so beautiful, that I just wanted to know who is the person who composed this song. This song is composed in a music called, in India, we have two types of music in the earlier ancient India, a little time back. There was a music which came from north side predominantly. There is a music that came from south of India. The music that came from north of India, we call it usually as Hindustani. I'm sure you must have heard of Hindustani, and somebody must be learning Hindustani Sangeet, right? Anybody here who gives me a thumbs up, who is learning Hindustani? Yes. And some of you, if you know the name of Sangeet, the music coming from South India, well, it's called Karnataka Sangeetam. And this person was a great Karnataka Sangeet person too. But I'm going to make you listen to one composition. We call it as Kirtana, only for 2 minutes, and then see the beauty of this Kirtana. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just listen to it for 2 minutes. Well, how was the song? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, this is a beautiful song. And everybody remembers the first line, Manasa Sancharare. It is a song which speaks to our mind. You know, our mind has one habit, it keeps on roaming everywhere, right? Sometimes it thinks of morning breakfast, and sometimes it thinks about our school, about our friends. Sometimes it thinks of, oh, what a lovely time before the lockdown. I used to go to zoo, I used to go to there and there. The mind keeps roaming everywhere. And here, the composer of this poem says, Manasa, oh mind, Sancharare, you keep traveling. Where do you have to travel? Well, travel always in a state of happiness. Travel always in a state where you are always able to express your perfection. And if we can do that, well, it is a different type of a traveling. If the mind can do that all the time, surrounded with happiness, surrounded with a perfect way of acting, thinking, then that is a very beautiful state, so that whatever we are, wherever we are, lockdown or no lockdown, then the mind always feels happy, and whatever thoughts comes to it, it will be a thought which is so perfect that immediately it not only makes me happy, but it makes other people also happy. And this is how our mind should travel. And the person who wrote it, his name is Sadashiva Brahmendra. When did he live? Well, he lived in 17th century. What century are we living in? 20th or 21st century? It is 21st century. Yes. So this happened in 17th century, which means 4 centuries ago in South India. That means 400 years back. Sadashiva Brahmendra is not his original name. His original name was Sivaramakrishnan. Very Tamil and South Indian name. So this Sivaramakrishnan, when he grew up, he had a brilliant mind. And with his brilliant mind, he used to debate with everybody. So when he grew up, when he found a teacher to whom he can develop a lot of his knowledge, he started debating with all the other students of his teacher, so much so that all the students got really annoyed with him because he used to defeat them in arguments and debate left and right. If you go to Sivaramakrishnan, you are likely to be defeated in argument. That was everybody. He will defeat you so much that you will feel so bad that really, am I only this much? And Sivaramakrishnan will easily beat everybody. Now, a few people gathered together and went and complained to Sivaramakrishnan's teacher that he, whatever we speak, he debates us and disproves us. Now, please take care of him, do something about him. So the teacher called Shivaramakrishna and then told him, hey, Shivaramakrishna, what is the point in debating all these things? Are you experiencing that happiness which will actually make you calm and quiet? What is the point in arguing with other people and making them so unhappy? And if you have not experienced any happiness within yourself, don't you think that should be your priority? And Shivaramakrishnan, the moment he heard this, immediately something happened to his heart. He said, my God, how much time I have been wasting arguing with all my fellow students. Now there is to be only one thing I want to do. I want to feel that happiness. I want to feel that perfection so that I don't debate and argue. I want to experience. What is the point in talking and debating when you cannot experience? And usually the people who debate, usually they have not experienced it, because if they have experienced it, their debate will be of a different nature altogether. So Sadashiva Brahmendra then said, I will not speak a word until I have experienced this perfection inside me. So from that time onwards, he stopped speaking. He went and he did a lot of tapas. You know tapas? Deep contemplation. And then deeply he went inside, so deep that at some point, suddenly he met with the God inside his heart. And the moment the contact happened, the happiness he felt was so much that he was all the time surrounded with this happiness, this bliss. So when he opened his eyes, he could still feel that everywhere, everything was in happy. And when he looked at people, he could hardly see people because he was in a state of happiness. When we spoke, these words used to become so sweet that sometimes it often used to come as beautiful song. And one of the song is what I made you listen. There are other songs we grew up when we were children. They are such a beautiful thing. When he spoke, it was beautiful words. When he sang, it was a most beautiful song. But he was always in a state of happiness, so much so that he couldn't even attend to some of his personal things. And Sarthak wants to ask something. Sarthak, I'm unmuting you so that you want to ask something. That's why you raised hand.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes.
I wanted to ask that near about what age he went to meditation?
Well, interesting because nobody was there noting down these things because it is 400 years back. But we get a clue because he was with his teacher and
Oh,
he was debating with other people. So we know that he belongs to a school with a teacher, and therefore, probably he was in his teenage.
okay,
Teenage
Saj.
means what age onwards? Perhaps 13 years. 13
13
years
years.
means what class will you be? Sixth, seventh,
Seventh,
sixth
yes,
or
sir.
seventh, that was time. But by that time, he was already debating and already doing something. So when he decided that this is what I want to, he actually took the effort, got in touch with that God within, and then he started expressing it in the form of beautiful poetry. But he was so much in happiness that sometimes he couldn't even take care of himself. He will forget to eat, and yet that happiness was so much that that happiness was sustaining him. Most of the time, he even forgot to put on clothes, dresses. You know how awkward that will be? Just imagine if you forgot to put your shirt one day and for by mistake you stepped out. You know, I when I keep hearing stories about great scientists, lot of times people tell me how forgetful they are because they are so much focused in the science. Sometimes they will step outside without their pants on because they are always thinking about some equation and something. Some of the great musicians also, if they are so much engrossed in that beautiful music, it is natural that sometimes they cannot pay attention to the normal things that you and we do. So this person, Shiva Ramakrishna, was always in a state of bliss. Sada, he was in the state of bliss, and he started calling his god as Shiva. So, you remember what I told you? You can call this by any name. So, he was Sada in a state of Shiva. So, the people who came across him, they gave him a new name. Your name is not Sivaramakrishna, your name is Sada Shiva. So, somebody who is always in happiness, only he, because he called that happiness as the state of Shiva, he called it Sada Shiva. So, one fine morning, Sada Shiva, by the way, that is not even his full name because his full name was actually Sada Shiva Brahmendra. Because that is another name which people gave to this state of happiness, Brahman. So this Sadashiva Brahmendra, one morning he woke up. He woke up as usual. When he woke up, he was in a state of happiness. And he was probably singing some beautiful kirtan, and then he started walking out completely nanga. He was not even aware of it. He was walking by the river Kaveri, which is in South India. And as he was walking, remember this happened in 17th century, he passed by a garden of one of the Nawab who used to live in that area, a king of that area. And unfortunately, the king was having a picnic in his garden because it belonged to him. So he was with lot of ladies from his court, from his family. Now remember the king enjoying a picnic with all the ladies, women of the house, and somebody walks completely nanga without a dress and in a state of complete happiness. All the ladies shouted, "My God, here is one person who is walking without any kapda, any dress." And they all started shouting. They said, "King, Maharaj, kuch karo, do something. How can he walk in front of this? Punish him." So king sent two of his guards. "Hey, ask him to wear some dress. How can we walk nanga when there are so many ladies and us are there?" So the guards went to him, two of the guards. They said, "Hey, hey, oh nanga admi, ruko." What? And then they said, "How can you roam without dress? Put on some dress." But Sadashiva Brahmendra was not even able to hear them because he was in a state of happiness and he kept walking in the same garden without realizing even that. So the gods ran back to the king and said that, "I think this is a pagal admi. I think he seems decent, looks good also, but the way he behaves, he doesn't listen to us. Now king said, what? I am the king, and even if I give the command, he doesn't listen to it. He got so angry. So he went up to Sadashiva Brahmendra, and then he took out his talwar, his sword, and then said, hey, I'm giving you a final warning. You behave decently, properly, otherwise you will face the consequence. No reaction from Sadashiva Brahmendra. And king got so angry that with his talwar, he swooshed at his right hand, and his right hand got cut off, bare at the shoulder, and the right hand fell on the ground, and the blood started coming out of it. The king thought, this will teach him a lesson. Now he will understand what is my power, and he will now follow my instruction. This is a lesson. I have punished him. But what happened to Sadashiva Brahmendra? He was in such a state of bliss and perfection, nobody could disturb that state, not even chopping off his hand, because his state of happiness was so intense. And looking at this, when the king looked at Sadashiva Brahmendra, he saw no pain. He saw a man who is looking so happy in spite of his hand cut off, and perhaps singing some beautiful song all to himself. And the king realized, oh my God, this is not an ordinary man. He is somebody so great, because how can one bear the pain of his hand getting chopped off? And interestingly, I have somehow got a photograph of somebody who has done a sculpture. And this is the beautiful scene which I'm going to share with you. You can see how this is. There, can you see? There is one king chopping off Sadashiva Brahmendra. Sadashiva Brahmendra was blissfully walking, and the hand was about to fall on the ground. Now, this is what happened. And then the king realized that this is not an ordinary person. This is a man who has achieved a state of perfection. And he immediately fell at his feet. Hey, I don't know who you are, Mahatma. I think I have made a mistake. I thought you are a madman or a mischief maker, and you are creating trouble, and therefore I have chopped. By mistake, I have chopped off your hand. Please, please forgive me. I don't know what to do. And the Sadashiva Brahmendra, when he was walking, now he was not aware of it. When his legs touched the king, he suddenly came to his senses. Oh, what is happening? Who is lying on the ground in front of me? And then when he saw the king. Said, oh, and he saw that the king was very disturbed. And then he told the king, why are you so unhappy? Why are you in a state of such fear too? And the king said, well, I mistook you for a troubled person, and by mistake, I chopped your hands off, and I have both galti kiya main, and I have done a grave error. I don't know what to do. So please forgive me, or even punish me back. If you want to cut my hands, please go ahead. And then Sadashiva Brahmendra suddenly looks at his hand. Oh, and then he finds his hand lying on the ground, and he says, oh, you did it by mistake. No problem. So he bends down, he picks up the hand, and he puts the hand and attaches it to his shoulder, and puts his hand here, closes his eyes, and focuses for a few seconds, and then he removes his hand. You know what happened? Guess what happened? The hand has joined back the body. And the king was amazed. He said, what type of a perfection this man has over his body, that if you cut off his hand, he can take his hand. He was having so much mastery over the cells of his body that by his power, by his perfection of the body, he can actually rejoin the severed hand, the cut off hand, and the hand was working so beautifully. The energy was flowing, and the hand was as good as it has never been cut off. Even with the modern operations, it is too difficult because you can still see the stitches and you will actually feel a lot of pain. You need to recover over a period of time in order to. But Sadashiva Brahmendra, through his tapasya, has achieved such perfection. All the functions of the body, all the parts of the body were so much under his control. He must have done lot of asanas, gaining control over it. He must have done lot of pranayama. He must have mastered the life energy too, so that even when the hand is cut off, he can join it back. Such was the power that he had. Just to give you a story of this is the type of mastery that we can have our body, so that whatever is the circumstances, we can remain masters of our body. But what to do? We have not achieved mastery. That one day before, if we overeat something, what do we get today in our stomach? Oh, lot of pain, and our stomach goes for a toss. And if our stomach goes for a toss, our mood for the entire day goes bad. Have any of you had stomachache because you ate something which should not be eaten? Digest nahi hua, overate, underate? Well, it happens frequently to anybody. It happens sometimes with the food that we like. We tend to overeat. I don't know if you have heard of gulab jamun. It's a small, nice sweet. I love gulab jamun. Once I loved so much that once I started eating, I didn't stop. I ate 10 gulab jamun in one go. And the next day when I woke up, my stomach was so much complaining that my mood was completely off. I was complaining, whining, throwing tantrums. And this is the situation. But if I had control over, remember what we saw in the previous session? Over food, the best type of food. What should I eat? How much should I eat in a most enjoyable way? If I have perfected my body will automatically know what type of food I have to eat, how much I have to eat, and when do I have to eat. The moment you are about to overeat, the body will send signal, hey Sarthak, stop with the 5th gulab jamun. Don't go for the 6th gulab jamun, because you will be upsetting your stomach. Or it will say, Rupshika, be careful with that sweet, because if you eat one more, you will go for a toss. And if the body becomes so conscious, so aware, so much control over here, it automatically decides food. Or even if we eat a little bit of food, we can always ask the body to digest. Anything that goes wrong, if you have mastery over the body, if you want to participate in a sports, you want to do your best, what do? Well, do a little bit of yogasana on that particular day, do a little bit of pranayama, and you will find that your body is much more in control. Otherwise, what happens? When probably, if you are part of a 100-meter running race, before you start, you get to hear a loud thadak sound from your heart. Why? Oh my God, will I win? Will I slip and fall? What will happen? What if I can't start properly? And the fear comes, and then it upsets the body's balance. Or the previous day's food, you have overeaten or undereaten, or you have not given enough water for it. Lot of things could upset the harmony and the rhythm of the body. But if you are so master of the body, you just have to set yourself on the 100-meter mark. The moment the whistle blows, you will be running the best 100-meter of your life. And that is the level of mastery that we are talking about. Is it possible? Yes. Only the things that we have to learn to take care of the body. Remember the 4 things we covered in the morning? We need to do exercise regularly, and we need to be regular with our sports. We need to be regular with our pranayama. This is the time for you to learn. We also have to be proper with eating the right type of food. And these are the simple things. If we take care of it, we can achieve a level of perfection in the body, which is so beautiful. Now, I'm going to pause here before I move on to the next story, because I just wanted to hear one, two of you to speak. So I'm going to unmute Advaya because Advaya has put up his fingers. Advaya, what would you like to share?
So I have a question. So can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have a question. So I have some anger issues, but not so much like that. I burst very, very frequently because of some small reason. So like the story you said about so. So sorry, I forgot his name. Sadashiva. So, I wanted to how to overcome those anger issues, or how to I know there is a session of anger. Still a little knowledge. Because I am having anger issues frequently because of this lockdown. I'm getting irritated because I can't go out of my house, or no, I'm out of my home also.
Well,
I'm in Kolkata. I'm without my books and I'm just trying to get with the school.
See how this is why we had kept an anger issue. Now, anger doesn't mean blowing out completely. Even irritation and annoyance, all these are various forms of anger. The final form is we lose it, meaning sab kuch is in disharmony, and that is a very highest form of anger. But even an irritation, annoyance, it usually starts with that, and then it gradually goes. So before I go to, I think two people who raised their hand, Anusha raised your hand, and Shaurya. So Anusha and Shaurya, we will take your thing left next, but just to give one hint, because I won't be taking the anger because it's a beautiful topic which we have. Anger, annoyance, irritation, all are things. One thing is, there is in our story, there is always a hero and always a villain. Suppose when you get angry, let us take the instance or where some people who make you angry by doing something which you don't like. Yes? Suppose if you want to go out, well, the government is not doing anything. So you get a little angry with the government. Or because you are living with your home, I'm sure you must have found out how all the other people are somehow planning to make you a little irritated and annoyed. It happens several times in it. So I'm going to take one specific thing where the annoyance is the result of somebody who is irritating us. There are a lot of things where it can happen. Just one thing, because there is an anger session coming up. So in our story, do you have a brother, Advaya, sister?
No, sir. No, sir. No real
Father,
brother or sister.
Mother, who is living with you?
Ma'am, my parents. Sir, my parents are living with me.
Your parents. And
I
sometimes...
left my grandmother in Lucknow.
I see.
My grandmother is alone.
Sometimes the parents will have to do, because they are parents, bade log hai na, sometimes they might have done something to you, let us say, which irritated you a little bit, it annoyed you a little bit. I'm sure over in the last 1 week, they must have done something which annoyed you a little bit. Arey, why are they doing this to me? Arey, why are they not letting me do what I want to do? Arey, you must have done at least once in the last 1 week, right? So in our story, I'm the hero, Advaya is the hero, and the villain could be father or mother. In all the stories, we always have a hero and villain. Hero is always as the villains. Now, who is the reason for you getting annoyed? Well, one of the parents. Just think of an instance where one of them, all the other people, you think of anybody who irritated or annoyed you in the last 1 week or 2 weeks. It could be a brother or a sister or a friend or somebody telephoned you, a person. Just think of a person who irritated you. First thing, you think that the villain is the person who is outside. Now, I can turn around the situation so that the situation becomes something very helpful for me. How do I do it? Now, this is what I do. If there is something in me which, if I have developed it a little more, the other person could not have annoyed me or angered me. For example, on one particular day, my capacity of tolerance was a little less. Therefore, my mom, dad, my sibling, my brother, or somebody came and said something, that particular word, usually a word for which I have less tolerance, and then I got annoyed. Now, something else has happened because of which my energies were a little low or I was feeling a little lazy. For example, when you get up in the morning, I don't know whether your mom makes you fold your bed sheet or clean your room, because if so, then I'm sure how you people will be feeling. I want to get up from my bed and want to play around. What this mummy is all the time asking me, I have to fold this bed sheet and I have to do this and this. Or when after I take a bath, wet towel, I come out and then I throw it on the bed. And the mommy will say, "Arey, wet towel, bed mein, why are you doing it?" And you should say, "Hey, mummy, chill, cool, you just take it out," and then you walk. Lot of things could happen, which usually annoys, but we change it around. Suppose if I have developed the habit of doing proper justice to the wet towel, if I can feel so close with the wet towel, see, I'm putting the towel on my body and the towel is helping me to remove all my wetness. I get connected with the towel and I don't feel like throwing it on the bed and then somehow spoiling it. I want to make the towel also happy by putting it nicely so that it can dry. When this towel is dry, it is back to its original condition and it will have its own happiness. So if I develop that kind of a respect towards all the things that I use, especially towel or something else, then how beautiful it will be. Then there is no chance of mummy irritating me because moka hi nahi milega. Then how will they make me angry or annoyed or irritated? So here I immediately became aware of something in me which if I develop, the other people or situation cannot irritate or annoy me. Suppose if I'm habituated to always be in air condition. Do you have an air condition at home, Advaya? Suppose, and in air condition, the temperature is maintained constantly. And then I hope summer has started. When you step outside and you say, "Ish, oh, why is it so hard? Foo-foo." And then you start running into the school. And in the school also, you're looking for air condition, or you run back at home. You're always looking for something because the overheat has irritated you, annoyed you. But suppose if you think that if I bring health to my body, if I connect with the sun, there is a way of connecting with the sun so that I feel that I am walking under my close friend, mera bahut khas dost, my son. And when I develop that relationship, I tell you, my friend will not put me into grief, and I will find that whatever heat is there, I will find it most comfortable. So earlier, what was not in me, I did not have the capacity to be friends with the sun. That is why sun can bother me. I did not have the capacity of bonding with my wet towel. That is why I am getting irritated by giving chances to my mom, dad. So everything that angers you, don't put it on them. Don't think that, if other people behaved always the way, the government or parents, always the way that I wanted, I will be the happiest person. Not going to happen. Do you think the whole world will always behave the way you expect them to? And you can't change the whole world to behave the way you want to. The best thing is you can change yourself. And is it a big change? No. Is it a beautiful change? Yes. Why? Because I have become aware of something lacking in me. If I develop it, nobody will be able to annoy me, irritate me, anger. So what happened is not an opportunity for angry. It is an opportunity for me to become more perfect so that I can be more happy. So if we can do that, I will actually feel thankful to my mom. Mom, you helped me to become aware that I should bond with my towel. And sun, you are thanking the sun because sun, your heat has reminded me that I am not yet become friends with you. That is why I'm treating you like an enemy because I want to run away from you. And this was the beautiful thing. I want to share with you something that happened in one of our gardens here when mother was in her body. So a foreigner came, foreigners outside of India, people have less heat. They are mostly cold climate. So the person is comfortable with cold, but he has never experienced a South Indian summer, that too in Pondicherry. Because in Pondicherry, in summer, if you can see a car which is parked under the sun, well, you can break an egg and then make an omelette on top of the car. It is that much hot it is. We say in Pondicherry, we have only 3 climates. What are the 3 climates? Not winter and summer. We have hot, hotter, hottest. These are the only 3 climates in Pondicherry. But this foreigner who came to our garden, so when he started working in the garden during the daytime, the sun was blazing and poor fellow, he was perspiring. He felt so uncomfortable. He wrote to the mother, Mother, I'm feeling the sun. So can you please sanction me a nice umbrella or a hat so that I can wear it and then I can work under a little bit of shade. And then the mother wrote back to him, why do you want anything to come between you and the sun? Why? Because sun can be your closest friend. And you don't want even a hat to come between you and the friend. This, you feel the hate because you are not looking at the sun and you have not yet befriended the sun. If you befriended the sun, you wouldn't feel that anything should come in between you and me. And after that, every time in the morning when this foreigner went to the garden, he will look up at the sun and then he will say, oh, Surya Dev, be my friend today so that together we are going to work in the mother's garden and you with your sunlight, because I know you are the one who is keeping all my plants alive. You keep them alive, make them bloom, the most beautiful flowers, the most tasty fruits that they can. And with that prayer, when he started working 1 hour, and after that he felt the sun to be so pleasant, so much so that even when the noon happened, he did not feel like taking a break and sitting under the shade because he has become friends with the sun. Now, this was the beauty. What happened here? Well, a difficulty, a problem has become an opportunity for him to develop something. So he achieved a little more perfection of his body so that the body was communing directly with the sun and the sun ceased to be a bother. Now, this is the beauty of it. One way we will take up more in detail because a full session is there. One way of conquering anger is don't look at the source as the outside, convert it into an opportunity to develop something lacking in you. If you develop, well, nobody will be able to anger you or defeat you. Now we will go back to the 2 people who raised your hand. One of you can, was it, who was the 2 who raised? Anusha, was it you? Okay, Shaurya, you unmute and then you share what you want to share. What we have seen so far is that if we have to call ourselves as Bharatiya, we should be seeking for that happiness and perfection. And that happiness and perfection can be that of the body, that of the vital, or that of the mind. And we just heard a story of the perfection that Sadashiva Brahmendra was able to achieve over his body. I have one more story, but before that, Shaurya, unmute and then share what you want to share. Okay, if you're not unmuting, I am unmuting you, Shaurya. Yes, Shaurya, you can speak
So
now.
can you listen? So
Yes,
can you listen? So
yes,
I like at starting you were saying about India. So I had a doubt about that really.
yes.
That Indian Ocean name is after the country India, or India country's name is after the ocean India.
So you tell
Indian Ocean.
me, the Indian Ocean, where does the word come from?
India.
India.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it must have come from the word India. And was India our true name, the name that we have
No.
given
No.
ourselves? और
No.
हमारे पड़ोसी है ना आके हमें नाम दे दिया कौन
Yes.
India, but
Yes.
our name is Bharatavarsha. So if it's an Indian Ocean, it is coming from an atlas prepared by हमारे पड़ोसी लोग हैं. So they still want to call us as India, and the word doesn't mean anything. But Bharatavarsha is the continent which is ruled by the king Bharata. There is a deeper meaning also for the word Bharata, which I have not shared with you. Bharata, one who gets happy in being bright, in being in shining forth with one's capacities. Bharata. So that is
So
the inner meaning. So, yes, Shaurya. So, Indian
so
Ocean.
so who gave Bharat Varsh name to us?
Well, here's the thing that in your house, all the people living in your house, if they get together and decide to call their house with some name, my house was called Srinivas, in the same way, the people of our country, they are not living in one place. There are a lot of people who were traveling quite across, and they found that when the entire country came under the rule of King Bharata, it is easier for them to say that this is the country brought together by Bharata. And in the Sanskrit language, it became Bharata. That which is created by Bharata is Bharata. And Varsha means a continent, a land. So this is the land which is brought together by King Bharata. So in that language, do you know which is the one language which all over India was spoken in those days? Right
Sanskrit.
now, yes, right now we don't have a language because from South India, if you go to North, majority speak Hindi. If you come here, well, hardly anybody speak in Hindi, but there was a language which was Sanskrit. So when in Sanskrit, they wanted to call our country, it was a natural for that language to give it the name Bharatavarsha.
Thank you.
Right? Now one more from Anusha, and then we will go for the next story. Anusha, where are you? There are so many people, no? Mhm.
Sir, who gave the name India to us?
Well. So if we track, we have to
Who
go.
and when? Who and when gave the name India?
Yes. So it happened over a period of time, but one of the earliest names that was given to us was Hindus by Alexander. That happened at least 2,300 years back. When it happened so far back. After that, after Alexander, then the Persians, the Mohammedans came once again. So for them, the Indus was a little difficult. So they wanted to call it as Hindus, but they didn't want the word us. So they wanted to convert it as Hindu. And then in their Urdu, they wanted the land which is occupied by Hindus, so they gave it the name Hindustan. So when the Mughal invasion happened around 10th century and then later, they wanted to call this country as a country of Hindus. Therefore, they gave it the name Hindustan. But then when the Britishers and the European invasion started, well, Europeans had difficulty in pronouncing the Hindustan. So they were spitting more often than telling our name. And therefore, they dropped the in he from he, and then they called it as Indu, and then Indu, a little more twisting over time, became India. So it's the Europeans who gave us the name India, whereas we have always been, हमारे घर के लोग हैं ना, we always were Bharatiyas, our country was Bharatavarsha. All right. So next is the perfection of the vital and the expression of the vital in happiness. Whenever your heart feels happy, what do? Let me have some answers. If you can type, whenever I feel so happy, I usually feel like singing a little bit. I don't know. It's so whenever you feel really, really happy, what do you feel like doing? Just type it out. Dancing, watching movies. Well, interesting. Watching movies is what makes you happy. When you are happy, it's not. So watching movie comes later. And when, see, somebody sings, if I like the singing, I become happy. That's what makes me happy. If I am happy, how do I express myself? Like one day you are so happy, you can't hold it inside. You want to express yourself. How do you? Talking to friends, dancing and singing, by humming, ha. So ek dhun automatically comes when you are happy, the happiness expresses. And Adya says, when I'm happy, I like to dance. Kanak says, when I'm happy, I want to listen to songs. Sarthak feels like playing carom. Again, remember, playing carom makes you happy, or when you are happy, you feel like playing carom. That is the difference I wanted to. Well, somebody is nice. Ishan, when he is happy, he wants to drink water. Nice. It's interesting to say, because why I asked you is everybody has their own way of expressing happiness. And already we saw that we can express happiness only if we have achieved mastery in that particular part. Suppose if I have achieved mastery over my body and physical energies, and if I want to express my happiness, well, I spontaneously begin to dance so rhythmically, so beautifully, because I have such a control over the energies of my body, I can express it. Or if I have trained my voice and mastery over the voice, I can break out into a song. Or if I'm good at conversation, through my words, I can make other people happy. Some people, when they talk, you feel like saying, "Arey, band karo na, kyun baatein karte rahe?" Some people, when they start talking, you feel like listening to them because their voice is so melodious and they are always talking with a lot of respect to you. Then that is a difference, because they have achieved mastery over speech. So our happiness, we can express it in so many different ways. But remember, we will be able to express that happiness provided we have the mastery, and we can have the mastery provided we can get connected with the God within our heart, because it is with His help that we are going to achieve the mastery. Now, there is a beautiful story, one of my very favorite stories, which is the story of Tanzan. How many of you have heard of Tanzan? He was one of the greatest dancers, no? Huh? Well, I see. What was he? He was one of the greatest singer. And he was part of the court of which king? Jahangir? Oh, already Meena Singh says, singer in Akbar's court. You know, Akbar's court, Akbar was a patron of art. So he always loved to have somebody like Tanzan with him. Whenever he is a little low, whenever he is a little sad, immediately he will say, Sadasya, we are going to have a singing by Tanzan. And Tanzan will step in, he starts singing, and Tanzan sings like only Tanzan can sing. How? When he starts singing, everybody forgets about everything else because his singing is so involving, so uplifting, and people will start crying because of happiness. Such was the quality of Tansen's music, and Tansen was the master of singing. So every time the Tansen's performance ends, Akbar will say, Tansen, you are the best. There is nobody in this world who can sing like you. And the Tansen will always say that, no, Maharaj, not true. So Akbar thought, out of some humility, Tansen is saying, as if, because who can there be who can sing better than Tansen? But every time Akbar says, Tansen, you are the best, Tansen will say, no, Maharaj. And one day, Akbar gets a little irritated. I'm giving you a compliment, a truth. Why don't you accept it? Who can sing better than you, Tansen? Show me, tell me who can sing you better than. And so that we can really get to see that singer who is better than you. Akbar was sure that there was nobody. But then Tansen said that, Maharaj, I learned singing from my guru, my teacher. And his name is, who knows the name of Tansen ka guru? Tansen ka teacher who taught Tansen how to sing. And I see that Saransh has got the name correct. Swami Haridas Giri. See, we know so much about Akbar and in history because he's much closer, and because, of course, he being a king, whatever he does, we come to know, but we don't get to know who is Tansen's guru, Swami Haridas Giri. So Tansen says, Maharaj, Swami Haridas Giri is somebody who can sing even better than me. And Akbar said, sorry, Tansen, it is simply not possible that anybody can sing better than you. It's almost like telling that, I have a Padosi who sings better than Shreya Ghoshal. How will it sound? Well, you will say, no, I would really like to hear this person singing. Then I will decide for myself. In the same way, Akbar said, really? If Haridas Giri can sing better than you? Well, ask him to come to my court tomorrow. We are having a concert by Swami Haridas Giri. So you tell your teacher that with all the respect, I will send a Ratha, a great chariot, and he will be brought with all the respects and all the things that we have with maximum facilities, and he can come. We can have a concert tomorrow itself. And then Tansen says, no, my lord, my Guru Ena is a little teda. Why? Well, he doesn't listen to any authority. Anybody who says that, come and sing, he doesn't do it. Anybody, do you dislike any authoritative figure who keeps on telling you what to do? Get up in the morning at 5 o'clock. Eat this. Study this time. Do this, do this. Anybody here who likes any authoritative figure who tells you all the time what to do? Little bit, one or two things, if you like, you can, but not somebody who all the time authoritatively says, because I am bigger and better than you, you have to listen to me. Well, we have a little difficulty in accepting. So Tansen says, my guru also has this problem. He doesn't follow orders. So if he knows that the king has ordered me to come and then sing in his court, he will flatly refuse. And he is not afraid of any punishment. No, that's a double combination. When we kind of rebel against our parents, little bit of fear is there, no? Because my mom or my dad, if they lose it, then I have had it. So little bit of fear is always there. What to do? Tansen is not afraid of any authority too. So Akbar, by the time his curiosity is so much, really? What a different type of a person. Then he said, Tansen, tell me, how can we hear him singing? So Tansen says, well, we have to go to him because he will not come to us if you order. So Akbar says, I am ready now. He was already getting up from his seat and he is already calling the guards, prepare my chariot ready. We are starting off. And then immediately Tanzin says, Maharaj, 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 hold on, hold on. Because if you go as a king and then talk to him anything, it is coming from an authoritative figure. He doesn't like authorities. So here is my humble suggestion. You will have to disguise. You will have to be somebody other than the king. And then he will not feel that you are an authority figure. So Akbar thinks, okay, I can disguise because he will recognize you even if you're under disguise, but I can disguise myself as your servant. So you go to him, I will come with you as your servant, and then we can hear Swami Haridas Giri singing. And Tanzin said, excellent idea. So Akbar got rid of his kingly clothes as a simple servant, sada kapada, and then they set out. And Tanzin was taking Akbar through a long roads. They have to travel so much that Akbar was almost has come out of his kingdom. They were entering through new towns. Sometimes they have to enter through some thick, scary jungles too. So when one such jungle they were passing by the time already 3 days have happened, and Akbar was getting a little worried. I have left my kingdom and so many decisions have to be taken. I don't know what they are doing. Where do we have to go? How much more time do we have to travel? I really wish that he is somewhere whom we can reach out to sooner. And as Akbar was getting a little frustrated, suddenly they enter into one part of the jungle where the atmosphere was so different. The sun was blazing, and yet the atmosphere was a little cool. And he was looking around, he found that the animals which are usually fighting with each other, they are calmly walking together. And Akbar could see a beautiful river passing by, and the trees were filled with beautiful flowers. It is as if they have entered into a heavenly place as they go around. Somewhere by the side of a river, there is a rock. On that rock, an old person, little beard, he is sitting in a very relaxed way, completely unmindful of everything around. He is as if the happiest person in the world. Was he doing something? No. Even without doing anything, he seemed to be the happiest person in the world. And one look at it, Tanzin got excited. Oh, my guru. This is my guru, Swami Haridas Giri. Finally, we have discovered him. The joy was so much that he rushed towards his guru. And the guru, one look at him and said, because Tanzin was his favorite disciple, Haridas Giri said, oh, Tanzin, it is so good to see you. And then he looked at a servant also with him who is quietly, Akbar has to reduce himself so that he doesn't look like an authoritative figure. And with all humility, he was somehow standing like this. And he thought, okay, so Tanzin has come with one of his servants. So he just quietly looks at him and then says, oh, two of you seem so tired because 3 days they have traveled. And sometimes they got food, sometimes, because Akbar is not supposed to say, I am Akbar, he is a servant. So they were hungry, they were tired. And Swami Haridas Giri said, Are, you people, you see there's a small hut. You go there, I have some food inside, mostly fruits, and then most tasty fruits and nice food is kept. You eat and then rest aram se. So Tanzin, you take your naukar also, and then make him feel comfortable. So they went inside, and then Akbar was so hungry that he ate all the fruits, and when his stomach is full, he felt like sleeping, and then he slept nicely and woke up in the evening, and he thought, these singers, the best time they sing is either morning or evening. Maybe Swami Haridas Giri is going to sing. So he quietly stepped out of the hut and was looking at Haridas Giri, and Haridas Giri was still sitting on the rock, completely happy, blissed out, and no sign of singing. So Akbar waited. Evening became night. No singing was happening. So Akbar thought, array, this singer, he must be practicing in the morning. So let me go to sleep. And next day morning, I have to wake up early. So he woke up very early in the morning and then came outside. Well, Haridas Giri was once again sitting on that same rock. And then he was just being with himself. So Akbar waited. Morning became noon. He became hungry. So he ate something fast and then waited outside. Evening also came. Night also came. No singing was happening. And he was worried that what happened? Maybe Swami Haridas said something happened to his throat. Maybe what is called a cold or something. No, but as he was speaking, it appeared all right. So I don't know why, but I hope really the next day he starts singing, because Akbar said, I've left my kingdom and then I can't just be here. So he goes to sleep with a lot of disappointment, with a lot of sadness. And he goes into a heavy sleep and he did not know how long he slept. And suddenly, in the middle of the night, he is woken up by something, as if something has splashed onto him. I don't know whether you have the experience when you are nicely asleep, has somebody splashed water on you? If you have a very naughty sibling, brother or father, or very sportive father, dad and mom, I'm sure I have 2 brothers and sisters and I have got showers from all of them, especially on the days I overslept. They will come, they will pick up little bit of water and splash, and that sudden chillness on the face, no? You wake up and then you almost are gasping for breath. Where am I? So one first thought that comes is, shayad main kahin doob gaya, samundar mein doob gaya, because water all over. And in the same way, Akbar suddenly woke up and he felt he was immersed with something and he just did not know. Like he was surrounded with something and he was trying to find out, where am I? It's a kind of a samundar, a kind of an ocean, but it is not made up of water. But it was made up of sound waves. And he felt that he is in an ocean of sound waves. What type of sound waves? He couldn't even give a name to it, because such a sound he has never heard in his life. And what type of sound? A music of a different type. A music which completely surrounds you so that you are not able to think and feel anything other than music. It is like music above, music below, music around you, music inside, music outside. You are surrounded with musical waves, and the waves were coming one after the other. And in that brilliant experience, he has never heard a music like that. And it was too much for him to bear. He became so happy and so much filled with that music that he passed out. He couldn't take it anymore. And we don't know how long he was in that state of being passed out. And suddenly Akbar felt somebody is shaking him up all over. Maharaj, Maharaj, utho, utho. And he woke up and he found that Tanzan was shaking him and then calling him, Maharaj, please wake up, please wake up. So he said, hi, Tanzan, chodo mujhe. What happened? He looked around and the musical ocean was not there anymore. And then he asked Tanzan, what happened? I was in an ocean of music. And it was a music which I have never heard. It filled me inside, filled me outside. I was blissed out. I was so happy. I've never been so much happy in my life. Then he said, well, Maharaj, ab pata chala, that was my Guru Haridas Giri singing. When he sings, everything around him get immersed in an ocean of music. Not only you, even the animals, even the birds, even the rivers, even the rocks of Patthar, even they get immersed in this happiness of music. And this happens only when he sings. But I have to tell you something, Maharaj. He being such an perfected being, when he looked at you on the first day itself, he knew you are Akbar. You have come with a demand, with an order that I have to make him sing. He will have to sing for me. He waited for the demand to die down. And the demand became a hope. Oh, I wish. And when it became a hope, the hope became a prayer. Please let Swami Haridas Giri sing. And when it became a prayer, there was a spontaneous response from him. As long as it was a demand, he did not sing. When it became a prayer, he felt like singing. And when he sang, what he have experienced is Swami Haridas Giri singing, because he has perfected the expression of his emotion, that a kind of an infinite happiness was expressing through his music, because he has perfected the art of music. And when it came, this is one. Akbar said, oh my God, I want to thank him. He already knows that I am Akbar. Now I want to give him lots of money and then lots of praises. Where is he? So Tanzin says, sorry, Maharaj. He knew that even though now you have a prayer, one more day and you are going to feel like ordering him to sing again. He did not want to have that demand. So he has quietly left this place. And he has left and he has just went, because for him, this is not a home that he is leaving. For him, the whole world is home. And then he just went to another place so that you don't come up with any demand. So with a heavy heart, Akbar returned. Next day, when the whole court was there, Akbar has not yet come out of the effect. He was still in a state of utter dazement. And then he said that, oh, Tanzin, you know, that particular song which Swami Haridas Giri sang, did he teach you that? Tanzin said, of course, Maharaj. So I have learnt it from him. And then Akbar says, can you please sing it for me, because I want to so much experience the same happiness. And he turns around and tells all the people that my courtiers, you are going to listen to a particular raga, something that you have never heard about this. And when everybody was full of attention, Tanzin begins to sing the same raga. And you know, when Tanzin sings as he alone can sing in the most brilliant way. All the people were gripped by that music. Tears were flowing out of it. And then that raga ended. And Akbar also gave a nice big hug. Only this time he didn't say, Tanzin, you are the best. What did he say? He said, Tanzin, this raga which your guru has taught me, you sang as you alone can sing. But I have one question for you. So Tanzin says, Maharaj, you can ask any question to me. And then he says, Tanzin, you sang so beautifully, but it was not yet the same as when Swami Haridas sang, because that quality was still higher, still greater, and the happiness I got was still deeper. Why is that difference? Did he teach you less? Maybe he left out some part of that particular raga. And then Tanzin says, no, Maharaj, it is because of a secret. So Akbar says, what is that secret? He says, I sing when you command me. You are a Chakravarti. You are a king of kings. And I sing in the best way possible. But when he sings at the command of only one person, the God sitting inside his heart. And when the God sitting in his heart feels like connecting with everything, feels like expressing the happiness, that happiness comes out in the form of music, and nobody can make him sing. And that is why his song, coming from the God within, because he has mastered the singing, is so very different from that of mine. And that is why the difference. And this is what perfection means. See, here is a country which has perfected the vital so that it can express the happiness through dance and music and art and poetry. There are so many things which have a way of successfully expressing our emotions in a happiest possible way. And this is the result. When we perfect our vital, all that we express through art, music, dance, drama, poetry will carry such a happiness that people will find it hard to resist. For example, when you listen to Shreya Ghoshal's one of the hit songs, I don't know, in what is that movie, Ashiki 2, Sun Raha Hai, you feel like almost crying. Yes or no? I don't know. I'm just, I can't understand yet the meaning, but I have heard the singing, something which is, it grips you and then you forget about everything. Even if it is sad, there is a happiness in sadness. That is the beauty of the vital. So when the vital is perfected, whatever is your emotions, it expresses in such a beautiful way that it makes everybody happy. It immerses them. And this was a sign of achieving perfection in our vital. Just a glimpse. I will pause. So the two stories that I have shared with you, the perfection of the physical, how do I achieve perfection? We have already covered it in the first session. Vital, how do we achieve perfection in the vital? We have already, and we have also heard two of the Bharatiyas, the people of the Bharatavarsha, who, when they achieve perfection in their physical or the vital, we just saw glimpses of it. Now, in the afternoon, when we get together, I have one more beautiful story to share with you, and then we are going to ask ourselves, what do we want our India to be? Do we want India to be full of such Bharatiyas who have perfected their physical, who have perfected the art of expressing through their vital, who have perfected their minds too? If when such Bharatiyas there, just imagine, how will it feel, our country, and what a brilliance there will be. And there was a time when we were actually brilliant in everything that we touched. And the time has come for all of us to give rebirth to that India which expresses everything through perfection of their physical, of their vital, and their mental, by discovering the God within the heart. Call it soul, call it Krishna, Allah, Jesus, or call it Momo, as one child wanted to say, my friend, I have given a name Momo, call it whatever, but by getting in touch with it, be perfect. It's 1 o'clock. We will pause for 10 seconds and let us see whether we can feel that happiness. All of us, shall we close our eyes and then express our gratitude a little bit for listening to two wonderful stories and also knowing when can we call ourselves as Indians, Bharatiya. All of you close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, just shift your attention to the heart space, because deep inside the heart is the source of happiness. When you are able to achieve perfection, you are able to feel the expression of happiness coming from deep within, because there is something deep within which was there from the moment we were born, which is there even right now. And even when the lockdown is over, even when we get back to the school among our friends, even when we are with anybody, this friend deep within is still going to be inside, making our life all the more beautiful. And let us just give a small hug to that friend inside the heart. Mother calls that friend as the inner genius, the genius within. And my friend who has been there right from the moment I am born, right till the end of my days. Let's give a hug to that friend deep within our heart and gently open our eyes. And we will take a break and have some nice khana. But remember, if you overeat your stomach, what will the stomach say? If you have developed your consciousness of the body, well, stomach will say, eat this more, eat this less, don't overeat. This is good for you. This is tasty for you, because health and taste, we need both. Only health and taste together can actually give us complete satisfaction. And if you want to take a little bit of rest, yes, take rest, and we will assemble by 3:30. So, namaste from me.
Thank you so much, Shivda. Thank you so much. You were just fantastic. And Pragya Upadhyay said you are close to perfection in storytelling. Yes. And there are many children who are clapping for you. And we are all clapping for you, and infinite gratitude. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful.